finalmente el placer nuestro de tener al señor Brad Pitt, el director y co-guionista y productor. Fue director de la Misión Imposible, Protocolo Fantasma, también director y guionista de Ratatouille, de Los Increíbles, el Oscar. Y bueno, pues también tiene mucho que explicarnos. Un aplauso para el director, el señor Brad Bird.
It started with Damon Lindelof and Jeff Jensen, who had conversations at Disney about, doing a film called Tomorrowland. And there was really just the word to begin with, and they kind of reacted to it. They had been working on it for about 6 months, and I was working with Damon on a little uncredited work on Mission Impossible, and he told me the idea, and I was totally hooked by it.
And now for the rest of you, or for all 4 of you, how did you get involved?
Well, I did some auditions and screen tests, and then I found out that I got the part. Sorry. And I did some auditions and lots of screen tests, and then that's when I found out I got the part.
I did the same. I auditioned a lot. Whoa, my laugh in here is crazy. I did a few auditions in LA, and then after that I flew out to Vancouver to actually work with Raffi, and then about a week later I found out that I got the part.
I did several auditions and quite a few screen tests as well, and then Brad showed up at my house with a script they said he'd written for me. When you read it, it said 55-year-old has been bitter, angry. And I thought, well, that's perfect for me. So but I wanted to work with Brad. I've always wanted to work with Brad, so it was really exciting.
Perfect, thank you.
You have all the awards. You are a director, actor, producer. You are considered one of the most sexy and attractive men in the world.
It was a time.
Is something do you have to do that not yet? You understand?
Something I haven't done yet?
As a person, as a director, as a producer,
Well, I will tell you what I've been doing. By the way, what's our translator's name in the box there? Guillermo. As a person who also likes to focus on human rights, I'm now here to focus on freeing Guillermo. That's my job. I want to do, as you can imagine. Free Guillermo.
Okay, good, thank you. Siguiente pregunta. Vamos a ver, podemos llevar el micro, por ejemplo. Ah, sí, ¿ya lo tiene? ¿Alguien? Ah, sí, adelante, por favor.
Para cualquiera de los aquí presentes, los mejores de las ponencias, la verdadera ficción es que haya jóvenes soñadores.
Perdón, la verdadera...
La verdadera ficción de la película es que haya jóvenes soñadores.
Do you think this is for all of you, that the true fiction is that there are dreamers, young dreamers? The fact that there are young dreamers, is that fiction?
Not at all. Yeah, we can talk to the young dreamers.
Yeah, I think the point of this movie is, or not the point because I won't speak to that, but the point for me, and something that I got out of it by watching it or just being a part of it, is that the individual voice matters, and the point is that we can all sort of stand up for what we believe in or what we want out of this world, and it doesn't take a group of people. It can just be a single dreamer, and it can be 13 years old or 25 years old. It doesn't really matter, in my opinion, but I think it's more about the perspective of the person.
Yeah, I think that we all begin life in that frame of mind as a dreamer, and we kind of get told that continuing that is not advisable. But dreaming is only step one. It's only the first thing that you do. Then you have to act on those dreams. So I absolutely believe there are dreamers.
Yes, I believe that there are dreamers, and I think... Wait, what was the question?
It's fiction.
I definitely think that it's real, and we don't really have too many, but if the world becomes like Tomorrowland, which I think it should do, then we should have lots of dreamers come.
This was very different and somewhat intimidating because I was used to working at such a quick pace and I didn't know what to expect with something like this. But what was so amazing is because it was so technical and so different from anything I've done, because of the luxurious, the time that we had, and because of the big sets and all of these big sequences we had to film, we had a lot of time to do so. And I never once felt overwhelmed by it because we did have time and we had Brad on my side and he was always very supportive. So, it was never too much for me to handle, I feel like. But I think everyone on the team was really helpful and just, supporting me and making sure that I didn't feel overwhelmed by it. But it's been an incredible journey and I'm so happy to be a part of this movie and to have this as something on my resume and to, go forward in my career. It's kind of an amazing situation. So.
Thank you, Britt.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, estamos de 2x1 SB. Adelante.
Esta es para Rafi.
Okay.
En Tomorrowland interpretas a un robot. ¿Cómo te preparaste para el papel y si te viste las pelis de Terminator?
Okay, this is for you, Rafi. In the film, you portray a robot. And the question is, how did you prepare for that? How did you research that? Did you watch?
1 second.
Well, Athena, she had lots more qualities than that, so it wasn't that she was just non-human. It was more that, she started to form emotions for people, so she kind of became a bit more human-ish. So, but it wasn't just that she was a robot.
I think part of our process in writing the character was thinking as a creation of love, and even though she is a machine, it was an aspect of the story we don't wish to spoil and publicize before people have seen the movie, but she was kind of like a Stradivarius, she's sort of a one of a kind, and she was created out of love, and so she has quirks in her, and she's a little more sophisticated than the other robots in the film, and that was kind of the idea of her character.
Something like this was very different and somewhat intimidating because
Ahí tenemos a Tony.
You are an activist for the human rights. I don't know about the rest, but
Terrible.
yeah. But would you say that the movie is a wake-up call for what is happening in the world right now?
Well, I don't, I think films can entertain first and foremost, and I think that's the secret to films is, it's not a documentary. Your job with a film is to give people 2 hours of fun and entertainment. If along the way you see things that move you to pay attention, I think that it's a nice thing if young people see this film and think, oh, maybe my voice does count. I grew up of a generation in the 60s and 70s where we actually not only believed that the individual voice could count and could affect change, but it actually did, and it had great effect over certainly in the United States. I feel as if sometimes that message gets lost now in this sort of this weight of bad news that we constantly are hit with, and I think people think, well, there's nothing I can do about it. So if they see the film and think, well, maybe my voice does count, and maybe I can participate in society, I think that's a good thing. For instance, any one of you could yell "Free Guillermo," and it could just start a wave of "Free Guillermo."
You're driving toward, and so I think dreaming, in a broad sense, dreaming is very valuable because it's step one. You have to know where you want to be, but it is not the end of it. We don't just. The film isn't trying to say, lie down and dream and hope that the future is going to arrive the way you want it. It's picture something that you want, and then every step of the way be driving towards that. Everybody's collective decisions that they make shape what the future will be. And so what I don't get is people acting like we're all trapped on this bus that's going somewhere where we don't want to go and we have nothing to say about it. We have complete say in what it is, but it may mean some sacrifices, and it means changing your behavior today to get to the place you want to get tomorrow.
Okay, thank you, Brad. Now for George, considering how much you got knocked around and beat up in the movie, how could you possibly have fun?
I didn't say I had fun. I didn't enjoy it at all. You know, my career has had a very odd twists and turns over the years. I used to win all the fights, and now I just get beat up all the time by robot, by anybody basically. I get beat up. Listen, it's a really fun film to be a part of, and part of aging in this industry and being and still working in it is you have to sort of you have to transform. You can't fight time. You have to let it be what it is. So I actually sort of enjoy getting beat up around. It's pretty funny to me. And you know, now Rafi's going to be beating me up. So.
Okay, this is for Brad. First of all, congratulations on a wonderful movie. Now we noticed that there were lots of references to maybe Disney action movies of the adventure movies of the 80s. Even the Goonies, for example. Was that intentional, or did it just happen?
Probably a little of both. You know, I love movies. Some of the best conversations I had on this film was talking with George about movies, because we both love them all the way back to the silent era. And certainly Disney films were a huge influence on me. I think my favorite Disney live-action film was 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, which I thought was amazing and still is amazing. But I also love all the Spielberg films that you mentioned. I love Star Wars, so you can't help, either consciously or unconsciously, kind of, you know, trying to reproduce the feeling that you had when you saw these films, when you make a film. But in the comic book store, which is probably the most obvious place, there's an opportunity to throw in every sci-fi movie you've ever loved, whether it's a good movie or not, and just get it in there because that's what it is. So to have a science fiction movie take place in a science fiction store was kind of really cool.
Okay, thank you.